Hey everyone, my name is Arif Mirza from Name Cult. I am the host producer of Domain Socials and of Domain Panels. For those wondering the difference between the two, not too much. It's usually the same people in attendance. With the socials, it's more of a community discussion on anything related to domains. And with the domain panel, it's going to be more of expert sort of presentations or Q&As or reviews, feedback. So this October 27th session of the social ended up being pretty much multiple presentations from Richard Lau, Darpin Munjal, Meredith Monroe, and Jonathan Frakes. So what I've done is I've split them up into each of their own show, and I'm greatly appreciative to each of them for what they've shared. Again, would be logo.com, squadhelp.com. Meredith shared some really cool hosting, HTAccess, sort of domainer hacker tips, really great stuff. And Jonathan went through WordPress installation. So on that note, I will just continue on and let you all get on with the show. If you want to join us in the future, both Domain Panel and Domain Social, you can subscribe at domainsocial.com and you'll be getting an email before every show. And that's it. Have a good one. Welcome everybody to the Domain Social for October 27th, 2020, special edition, a Technical Tuesday, we're calling it. We have some great presenters for you to share their platforms and industry tips, tricks, all kinds of stuff that we don't usually have. We have Richard Lau, we have Darpin Munjal, Richard Lau from logo.com, Darpin from Squad Help. Meredith, I never know whether you want me to say your last name or not, so I'm just gonna say Meredith. She's gonna show us all kinds of tricks with hosting and HTAccess the files and all kinds of stuff that I've always wanted to know about, but just been afraid to ask. And Jonathan, you all know Jonathan. He's gonna be on and off talking about WordPress installation and setup, and his will be intermingled a bit. Just gonna step in for 1 second. Just gonna say, those who don't know Meredith, she's pretty consistent, regular on the socials. I don't know if you want to just give a little bit of background about yourself before starting, or you can start. I'll give you the choice.
Sure, I can do either. I can do it at the end or at the beginning. My name is Meredith Monroe. I'm kind of a self-taught techie. I like developing websites and just coding and things like that, but I also do very traditional things, more so recently. We own a store, so we do that a lot. And so basically, I'm really excited to be here and learned so much from everybody. So let's get started, and then I'll tell you a little bit more as we go along.
Sounds good.
Great. So let me get my screen shared here. First of all, we have a wonderful, diverse group. It seems like a lot of you either don't have hosting or a server, but might be curious about it. Some of you may have hosting and server and are already developing websites or already redirecting domains and websites. I'm going to try to cover a little bit for everybody. We're going to start out with the more general for domainers and talk about how to redirect pages and domain names to different external places. Then we're going to talk about how to redirect pages and websites internally with code using HTAccess. And then I'm going to talk about server-side includes, which are really handy for developing landing pages, how that's done quickly, easily, and exactly how the structure is. I also want to show you a fun spreadsheet that I've come up with that I use a lot. So I'll show you a spreadsheet about how to organize information and very easily create long lists of code that you'll then put into the HTAccess file. And then some examples for developers who are really in the weeds with the HTAccess file. Some things like directives, access control, blocking people, blocking IPs, spam bots, things like that. So let me just pull up my presentation here. So, okay, so now everybody can see my screen?
Yeah, yes, perfect.
Great. So we're going to talk about the power of HTAccess for domainers and developers. HTAccess files are traditionally called hypertext access files, and SSIs are called server-side includes. So what does HTAccess mean? Now, this is a really long sentence for something that gives you a really quick, easy way to do really major things. Hypertext access file is a hidden file, and it's specified as .access. The dot is what makes it a hidden file. You can open this up in a notepad, just a traditional notepad. Otherwise, you can't really just open it up unless you're logged into the server. It's placed in a particular directory and contains 1 or 2 configuration directives, and those directives apply not only to that directory, but to any subdirectories as well. So on a server, on a hosting account, you can do a lot of the things that you do with HTAccess in the Apache configuration file. You can certainly do that. The value of the HTAccess file is that you can place it anywhere on your server you want, and thereby control directives and blocking and access and everything based on a folder by folder basis. So most of the time, your server account will have a public /public_HTML area, which is the root area, and that's where you would put your main HTAccess file, and then that would control all of the subdirectories and everything else on that hosting account or server. To back up slightly, so what you would need is a shared hosting account that gives you access to the public HTML folder, where you can then put in an HTAccess file and edit it. Or you can get a VPS server, which is a little bit more, it's usually more expensive, but it's a little bit more for a true developer, and you can do that as well. You choose one domain name, a primary domain name that you want for this, for the HTAccess file, create the account like Jonathan did for the WordPress site, and then you can actually park a whole lot of domains underneath. So I have a VPS and I've got 3 or 4 different accounts, and then I have hundreds and hundreds of domains parked underneath each one of those accounts. And each one of those accounts then has its own HTAccess file, which makes it easier to manage. I also have them separated so that you have technology and startup stuff on one of them, travel and entertainment on another, and I'm trying to remember what the other one is, and art and those kinds of things on another one, and a couple other accounts. But anyway, that's basically the crux of it as far as getting set up. It's also useful, the HTAccess file is used a lot by developers in particular for the SEO performance. There's lots of things you can do to make sure that your SEO performance is the best that it can be. Also, you can protect the server environment by preventing certain things from happening, spam, robots, bots, referrers, things like that. So but for domainers itself, it's great for redirecting domains. You do or do not have to have actual domains on the server. So you could have the server or the account with your account and all your domain names parked underneath it, and then just simply redirect those domains to wherever you like. And there's lots of different options there. You can route them to, Google search, other marketplaces. You can route them to your Facebook page, LinkedIn pages, Twitter pages, e-commerce site. If you want to do that, you can link the domain to a blog post, an article, even your own marketplace, whether it be one of the actual marketplaces or your own marketplace. If you have your own, like a Shopify store or something like that that you're using for your domains. I have seen that too. So it's really cool with HTAccess. I'll show you later how you can both prepare and deploy the code to make it really quick and easy. By being able to redirect domains to different places, you can do a lot of A/B testing. So you can, try out where, which kinds of places gives you the best result for your domains. It's particularly helpful if you have a lot of traffic on your domain. Then you can kind of see where people are typing in the most and inquiring about your domain. So let me get started. So who uses the HTAccess files? They're used by domainers to redirect sites, restrict access, and to develop. And then the developers use them a lot for SEO optimization, web security, as you can see. And I can't see over there, but whatever this is. Next page. So what do I need? Basically, like I said, you need a hosting server, an Apache environment, you need a public HTML access. You need to have mod rewrite on. I have turned it on in the file itself, but I think the server can do that as well. cPanel is a nice way to manage your web hosting environment. It makes it easy to set up the primary domain and park domains, but there are lots of different Some hosting companies have their own panel that's also very efficient. Software-wise, real simple. There's you need a basic text editor, you need an FTP program to upload your files to the server. In the cPanel for the web hosting environment, though, you can actually upload and work with files there too if you want to, but having an FTP program works out well. I use Notepad++ and WinSFP. Portable apps is I don't have any association. I'm not, promoting them for any particular reason, but they have a lot of wonderful apps that you can use for web development, image manipulation, all kinds of things, financial passwords and stuff. But these two in particular are ones that you need to work with the HTAccess files beyond having the server environment. And it's not very expensive, actually. I was just on a chat with a company, $100 for 3 years for a shared hosting environment with access to the public HTML. I don't know them, I've never used them, so I wouldn't want to recommend them publicly, but anyway, there's definitely a fine and dandy price point there for most people. So here we go. We're going to start out with some HTAccess examples for domainers, and this will show you some places you can go redirect your domains to. It'll give you some actual real code that you can use. So if you already have an HTAccess file, you're all kind of ready to go and you want to test this out, you can test some of these things out. There's a lot of things in the HTAccess file that you kind of need to, but there's a lot of guides online that will give you that, and I'll give you some of that information later as much as I can. Yeah, so let's get started. So basically, if you want to redirect, how do I get rid of that? I'm just trying to move the menu so I can see what I have. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Redirecting a domain to Google search results. We've had some domainers who like to do this. One in particular that I can remember that sold a really cool domain. Everybody knows about that one. And so you can actually just simply, try to move this little thing. You can actually just simply, the code on the bottom is going to be the code that you would use to actually route to a Google search. And you would just, where it says domain, and word, you would add in what you want to do. And the center portion is an actual real example. So that's a lot. All of these are live, so you can type them in, but I'm also going to show it to you in a screenshot just to make it easier so I don't have to flip back and forth. The 301 status is a permanent redirect. 302 is a temporary redirect. So I would normally personally do a temporary because I'm not going to keep it like this forever. So that's one thing to consider. And I'll talk about that a little bit later if we have time. Oops. This is what it actually looks like. So it actually redirects and goes right to this page, and you can see what the search engine results are for that particular phrase. You can also redirect your domain to Uniregistry Marketplace. Oops, let's see. And oops, a daisy. How do I go back? Oops. Okay. And there's the code to do that. On the bottom, you just simply replace this information. And now this part over here where it says rewrite engine on the bottom part with the hash, my server already has the rewrite engine on, so I don't need to have that on, but try it both ways to see whether or not you need that hashtag at the very front or not. So that's how you can do that. Oops, how do I get to the next one? That's what it looks like. So there's an actual landing page, Uniregistry. If you were to link to their public version landing page. Now, a lot of the marketplaces have landing pages that are more specific. This is more of a public facing landing page. So some of them are more interesting if you have their actual landing page. You can also link to Epic directly to their landing page. You would just simply put your domain in here, your domain, and then put it over here. It'll go right to the landing page. There's an example of what it looks like. Yeah, this is the Dan market page. So you can see the way that all of these are kind of similar. Basically, you have to do a slash to comment out the dots. We have the // for the slash. You're basically commenting out the slash. The or is basically saying www either no www or www route to this. And then the R basically tells it to stop or rewrite 302, excuse me, temporary. And then the L is that this is the last thing that it's going to do. It's not going to do anything else. Once the request to go to this website is made, the server is going to read this, redirect, and then it stops. It doesn't continue to read the HTAccess file. So that's what that looks like. You can also redirect to your CEDO pages. You have the very similar, same one there. That's what that one looks like. You can redirect to Brand Bucket. I don't have any of Brand Bucket at the moment, so I can't really show you directly, but there's the code on the bottom that you would use to redirect to Brand Bucket landing pages. There's one to redirect to Squad Help as well. Here you notice there's no dot and there's no extension or trailing slash here for a .com domain. I would presume because most of their domains are .com, so they just kind of leave that aspect off of their URL. On FD page, same thing. You could use this code and redirect your domains. Same thing with LinkedIn. You can link to a company page if you like. Let's say you have a domain name and you want to promote a particular. These are all active, and I just picked random ones. They don't really have anything to do with anything. That one, and this is LinkedIn, so you can actually do your username and link to LinkedIn. If you don't have a site ready or you're in development, you can do it that way. So let's move on to server-side includes, and then I'm going to come back to HTAccess and get more into the details of how it works and the more technical side of it, as to what you can do with server-side includes. Power of SSIs for domainers, basically. So server-side includes are basically a script language that includes files in a website where you have a bunch of different areas of the website that are common across many websites in the case of setting up landing pages. So basically you would decide on your desired structure, meaning again, the primary domain name and then having all of your part domains underneath that domain name. You would create a folder for each domain name underneath, just right in that public underscore HTML section. Then you create a template file. But let me show you a little bit more. This is probably, it's also really important to decide on the naming system for your files and folders so that it's consistent. For example, if you have, say, .co.uk domain names, perhaps you'd want the folder to be, say, shopin-co-uk, and then all the com domains to just simply be, you know, whatever it is. The domain social and without the -com because it's more common. So getting started, the landing page setup using SSIs, this is just a really simple way of kind of showing you in a nutshell what it looks like, what the pieces of the puzzle are. So if you have a folder, you basically create a folder. In this case, I'm just using this as an example on text tiers, and then you create an SHTML file underneath. That's for a server-side includes. Then you create another folder. It's like Inc. landing pages meta or Inc. Mini pages meta, whatever you like. You just want to have it so it's easy to find. And then you create a custom a meta tag. This is for SEO for that particular domain name with a .txt extension. It's just a regular text file. That's the beauty of this. It's so easy with these really basic files, a .txt file, and it's really short. And then you have a folder with an Inc. landing pages, which is the actual content. The header is common across all the domains. So you could have, 1,200 domains with all using the same header, all using the same footer. And the only ones that are different is this, the meta tag page and the landing page. And the landing page is where you would put the content that you want as the meat of the page. So let's just kind of go forward. So here is an example of a landing page. It's really simple, kind of on purpose to kind of show you what I mean. The very top part of it is like the header. To think about what you can do with that, you could put a logo, phone number, whatever you like there. And then this whole middle section is the content part. That's the part that's that's unique to each domain name. And so you would actually create this using HTML code and put it into the TXT file. And then the bottom part, that also includes the copyright section here. Then the very bottom of it would be considered the footer, and you can put whatever you want down there, or you can leave it plain. Now the beauty of this is you could have a link to the actual marketplace where somebody can buy it now. You could have a link to make an offer. You could have links to blogs. You could have links to other domain names that are similar that you want to sell. You could cluster domains together. So if you have a lot of, say, wine and cuisine domains, you could have one design, one picture design, or one design for that set of domains, and then list all of your other domains that you have for sale on the same page here as well. So there's lots of things you can do. You could add your social media, and you could do whatever you like with it. So that's just an example. This particularly goes to a form that people can fill out, and you can do a form so where it's individual to each website, which would be really a lot of work, or you can have one form, use one domain, one form, and have all of the landing pages redirect from this link, this check availability and get a price quote link to that one form. And then you just have one set of includes, a couple files for that form, and you can cover 5,000 domains doing that. It's really easy. So on the index.html page, which is where, that's the main page. Let me show you. Let's see if I can find back. Oops. How to go back. That's oops. This page here, the top part, you create a folder for tech tiers, and then the index HTML page. So on that page, this is all you need. This is the server side, the SHTML page. Basically is pulling in include files. So this is the exact text for that particular page that you would need. It's basically saying include landing pages, that particular meta tag file, and then you're going to include the common header, then you're going to include the specific page for the content, and then you're going to include the common footer. So that's all you need on that page. So basically you create all these folders, you copy this 100, 200, how many times you need to do, and then you just open up these files in bulk into a notepad editor, and then just find and replace. All you need to do is replace the capital letters, the DN, and you can name them whatever you like. It's kind of important to decide how you want to structure and name everything at the beginning rather than trying to do it later, just because it's easier that way. And then you have the, this is the meta tag file. You need one of these per domain, and basically you just copy this. So you have a folder and you have, say, 100 of these in that folder. You just rename each file with the domain name, open them all up into a text editor, and copy and replace, and maybe refine the meta tag keywords slightly. You will find that your domain can rank, actually, ironically, surprisingly, in Google in some cases. But you don't even have to do this. You could start out using the same meta tag file for all of your domains, and then just gradually create them. The only thing there is then you would need to change the virtual path file name in your SHTML file so that it would pull in the new one, basically. So either way. And then you have, oops, I'm trying to see what this is. The second of two files that is specific to the domain name. So there's only two files you really need to work with. This is the one that is the content page. There are lots of places online where you can very easily put in some code and create a very simple, content section for the landing pages. Or you can just ask a HTML programmer to quickly create a section for you. I would ask to have lots of placeholder text. So you could have a placeholder text for Google AdSense, ads, blog, article, buy it now versus make an offer versus, you know, yeah, so you can do all kinds of things with the page, but have placeholder text, because that way you can open up all of these files in a notepad editor and edit them all in bulk really, really quickly. That's kind of how that works. And then the header text file is the one that's common across all of the domain names. So you can either create it. It's not too hard to do. You can put logos and stuff and create it and test it out and see what it looks like, or just have somebody quickly put something together. Again, it's easy to update. It's just a text file. So you just go in and just edit just small pieces of information if you wanted to. The footer text file, the same thing. Need probably a link to a contact us, maybe a terms and conditions, how it works. You could do all kinds of things like that. The server structure then, to make it a little bit more clear, is there's the public HTML folder, and then underneath that you would put your domain name folders. You would have a whole bunch of these text tiers, all kinds of ones, you know, the domain social, if you're Arif, all different kinds of ones. Yeah. Or jothan.com, you know. Then you have a folder with all the landing page .txt files, and then you have the meta tag folder with all of the meta tag.txt files, and then you might want to have a folder for images. You wouldn't have to. You could put them somewhere else under one of these other ones if you wish to. But if you're going to use a lot of images, or you want to keep them separate, that's kind of a cool way to place it there. And then the files and that just go directly right underneath all of that and are separate are the HTAccess file, the index HTML file, which can be whatever you'd like it to be. I typically like to put a blank HTML file with statistics code, so that if nobody's really supposed to be going there, I can at least see when people go there. It's kind of interesting sometimes to see when that happens. So I put those index.html files. I put one in the landing pages folder and the landing pages meta folder. That way you can see if somebody's found your structure. They shouldn't, but if they found it, then you know. And then here, the favicon ivy is a little tiny image that people tend to put. It's at the very top in your browser. You can create that if you want to add that to your pages. Info is a common one, and the robots.txt, which I'm not going to cover today, but those are also some common files that are typically underneath the section here. So let me just move this little thingy. Redirecting to a specific domain folder. Now we're going to get into like, how do you actually redirect your domain to specific landing pages after you've created all the server-side include folders and files and everything, and you've tested those to see that they look good the way you want them to be. What do you do with them really? So you go, you create, if you don't have it already, you can create your account on your server environment and park all the domains that you want underneath those, and then you're going to create an HTAccess file. In that HTAccess file is all kinds of stuff. My personal HTAccess files are like 5,000 lines long. So part of the challenge was going through these really long files and picking out the relevant information to use for today and not overwhelm. But anyway, so here you can redirect to a landing page folder by simply having domain, replacing domain with your domain, and then down here at the very bottom, that's where if the second part, domain.shtml, and the second part of the folder, if it's a different extension, would be like a -be.fr, so that you're going to a different folder. So that's one way of doing it. If you have, I already had this in here. So if you're going to redirect the domain to a different domain folder other than your actual domain folder, and you can simply have the UK domain route to a different .com domain, just like that. And one thing you can do is you can do in the center section, you can either not really pay attention to where your traffic is coming from, or you can, if you want to know that the .uk is the one that came to your .com domain, you can put this code in the question mark UTM with the backslashes there to then know where your traffic is coming from, basically. This is useful if you're redirecting a lot of domains to one domain. So if you have a .co.uk, a .fr, a .be, .net, .org, maybe you want to redirect all those things to just the .com, be done with it, right? So, and have all that link juice and all of the SEO value building one site. And this is a way you can do it and still know where people are coming from. I find that really interesting. And the 301 is basically redirect to 301. That's a permanent. The 302 is temporary, 301 is permanent, and then that's the L stands for last. That means it's done. It's not going to do anything else. So that's kind of, oops. If you want to redirect similar, I have to move this little thing. Redirecting multiple domain names to the same domain folder. Yeah, so this is just telling you a little bit more cleaner that you can take the center part here and you would just simply, it's just very important that you, the last line of the rewrite condition doesn't have an or to it. So you can add as many domains as you want and redirect them all to one domain. It's just that the last rewrite condition line can't have an or to it or you'll get an error response in your browser. And so this is one way to do it. Now you can redirect them all in bulk like this. You wouldn't necessarily then, you could put the stat code on there to be able to see that something from one of those came to the main domain, but it would be hard. You wouldn't really know which one unless you did separate rewrite directives. So you would have them be separate rather than having be all under one rewrite. And this is using folders here, but if you don't want to use a folder, you could simply, the second folder, domain.com/domain, you could just get rid of that and then get rid of the part on the bottom. Redirecting multiple domains to a new domain. So you want to redirect similar or redundant domains to the same domain, you can combine. Same things, this is another way of showing how to do it. Not using a folder. So like domain one that's a non-www, a www, a non-www, you know, and then it just goes right to the actual folder. So there's no other code needed for that. Final thoughts on that portion of the HTML section is make small changes, save and test. It's a lot easier to find the mistake and always save the file. So you can have a couple versions of the file. What I do on the server is I'll, in the Win SCP program, is I'll basically rename the HTAccess file 0 HTAccess and then re-upload the file. If it works, great, fabulous. If not, I can just delete that and reinstitute the old one. The other thing is you can put HTAccess files anywhere on the server, so you can explore this anywhere. You don't have to do it right in the root folder and have it affect a lot of domains at one time. It's useful also if you have a folder you don't want people to access, you can put a HTAccess folder in there specifically to block all access to, especially if you're developing something in stealth mode. And if you see this kind of error, it's likely that the path to the file is wrong, meaning that the server side include path is likely a little bit off. And in the .shtml file, you see the // well, you could try it // and see if that solves it, or you can try, you know, a /. You can just try a couple different ones. But the way I have it set up, or the way I'm showing it to you, definitely works. If you do something different, then you might have to just play around with it a little bit. Oh, okay, this is fun. So now we're off to the spreadsheet. So I can come out of here for a second. So I want to show you just quickly how you can use a spreadsheet to compile the domain name directives code for HTAccess. This is a section of the HTAccess file which can be massive. If you've got, you know, 1,000 domains or even frankly, even 100, it's a lot of work to actually manually write this all out. And then if you make the slightest error with a slash or something, it's just not going to work. So then you have to find the error. So, and there are places where you can test HTAccess files. I think Jothan had mentioned one the other day, and I've actually put this in here in the resources section. So that's one way to do it, but another way is just to kind of make it really easy to edit and bulk upload this information rather than having to do it so manually. The other thing, you can create an HTML page for testing the HTAccess directives, and a simple list of all the domains with links that open up, and you can test everything. And that can be used for any kind of HTML page, directory pages. I used to use it for creating pages that had a lot of startup videos, and I would just create this Excel spreadsheet with all these columns with all the HTML access code in it, and then they just have to change the unique information for each of the segments, and then just copy the whole thing and just upload it to an HTML file. So it's really quick and easy. So let me just show you that real quick. Hopefully I'm not boring everybody.
No, this is great. This
Okay,
is
good.
fantastic, Meredith. It's like,
Good.
here I thought it was going to be really basic, and you're just like,
Yeah.
bam. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I keep trying to copy and paste from it. I commented in the chat. I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I need that. If only I'd had that.
Yeah, I can provide that stuff. Yeah, no problem.
I copied them all. It is hardcore and very useful.
Yeah, I think it's fun. And if you have any interest in getting techie, any interest, it's a great way to learn. There's a little bit of a risk that it can be a bit of a diversion, because if you find you really like it, you may find that you're not selling or listing domains as much or buying as much. You might be having fun creating this cool way of doing things. And there's so much you can do with it. Let me just come out of here real quick. How do I get out of my, there we go. And I'm going to go to a spreadsheet. And I just picked these randomly just to kind of give a overview. Let me see if I can move the people. There we go. And so basically you just create a regular spreadsheet. Here's an HTAccess management sample. I have here, I just kind of separated by type. I have a bunch of like chocolate domains and, you know, entertainment and geo type stuff. So I just picked a few things that I thought would be interesting to show you.
Meredith?
Yeah.
I think what's happened is you need to turn off sharing and then turn on sharing on your spreadsheet.
Oh, sure.
I think you switched windows,
Yes.
and the reason I know that is I've done that myself.
Definitely. Let me
And it
show
froze.
that. Okay, now can everybody see?
Yes.
It is.
Okay,
It's
cool.
alive.
Yay!
Oh, wow.
That's an access file, typical file, but you could use any other spreadsheet. And so I have spaces here just to kind of show you something a little bit. Down here where the Philadelphia stuff is with the .tv, because it's a different extension, I have it in a slightly different color. Then if you come over here, you can see where the folder is a -tv, and the same thing down here, a -tv. You could do it differently, whatever you like to do it, but that's how I've decided to do it. And then over here for the rewrite rule 2, then it also has it as a dash. So that way it's basically a folder that's a little bit different. So I basically, all the domains that are not .com, I color, and then I do those a little bit separately because I want to make sure I have all the folder structures correct for all of them. So the idea is that all the stuff in blue is the common stuff that's just HTML. It creates breaks in the file to make it line up properly for the HTAccess file. The rewrite engine on 1 is all the same for everything. The same thing with the rewrite condition 2, same thing with this one here. Oh, rewrite condition 1, I'm sorry, is different. So you would want to have the specific domain name listed. And same thing with rewrite condition 2, you'd want to have the specific domain name listed. One thing I wanted to mention again is the rewrite engine on 1, I have a hashtag there. You may or may not need that depending on what else you have in your file. And then you have rewrite rule 1, which is basically the folders. I'm really big on folders, so I use folders. And so and the SHTML files go right underneath those folders. And so it's basically telling you that, you're going to rewrite. When this comes up, either the non-www or the www hits the server, it's going to rewrite it and redirect to this folder. And then it rewrites engine on, and then it shows that's the folder, the specific folder that it's rewriting to. And then you have the breaks. Now, if you're going to, if you would rather have it land somewhere else, like not a, if you want to have it go to, for example, to a marketplace or something like that, you could use this instead, in which it would redirect to an internal page, external page, or external website. So all of those ones where I was showing you how to redirect to other marketplaces and stuff, this is the kind of thing it would look like. In this case, I just put domain in there, and then collections, and then domains, and then you could put the actual domain in there, and it would tell you where it came from. It's assuming that these are your own, that this is your own marketplace, that domain.com is something you own, then the code will be something valuable for you to have. And then another break. And so basically the idea is you just simply copy from line 2 all the way over to, in this case, let's see, not that, I'm not going to do that. Just all the way over to here. Just copy and paste that into a, using the text editor into a file, and save it as a .html file, a regular web file, and then just drag and drop that into your browser, and then you just copy what you see there directly into your HTAccess file. And that's all of the rewrite directives that you need to reroute all of your domains. So that's the way to do it quickly and easily, and also keeping it so that you can easily see if there's a problem just by looking at this, if something doesn't look right, and a lot of it's common. So, and what I normally do is I have this as part of the whole file, the big massive file, and then you just simply go like this. When you get a new domain, you add it to the file, and then you copy a line, put it down here, and then just do a file and replace. Let's say, what is it there? TV, and you can replace it with my TV, for example, replace all, and then you figure out it makes 7 replacements, and then you just kind of go over here with, because it's a different, oh no, it's a .com, so it's done. Yeah, 7 replacements, and then you have all your code for that new domain. Just plop it right into a, if you're only doing a couple though, it's easier just to kind of write it in your HTAccess file rather than going through the hassle of putting it into an HTML file and then copying and pasting it. So that's one way to do it. And then let me show you what that looks like. How do I show you? Actually, I have to go back to the folder. Well, let me show you something else first, and then I'll just go back and I'll show you both of these at the same time. So to create a list of all the domains that you're redirecting, regardless of where you're redirecting them to, it's important to test them. So you could basically create a page with all of the links, and here it's the website code, and you just kind of add in the domain names here, which if it's all part of the same sheet, then it would all just simply get copied and replaced at the same time. I just have it separated so it's easier to see. So you would basically put the domains in here, then the URL, then you have the closing, the closing tag and some breaks for the page. And then you can also, you can just copy and paste all of this. Just copy and paste that into Notepad, and then save it as a .html file. Drag and drop it into your browser, and then just open up the links and open up in a new. Each one will open up in a new page, and then you can just test them to make sure they all work as you expect them to. You can also do a really cool thing as concatenation, where you basically just tell it to concatenate, add A2, add B2, and C2 together, and then it squishes it all together. And then you could just simply copy this as well. So there's two different ways to do it. Into a page, save it as a .html page, drag and drop it into your, or just open it up and check them online. That's one way to do it. So let me go back. So I think I'm done with this share.
You could make
Let me
your
go
own
back.
sort of web ring thing with that too, couldn't you? Like, you know, include that into, or put that into your server side, include footer.
Yeah, sure can. Exactly. It's exactly right. You could create a whole big massive list of all your domains. There are some domainers that do that, that have they have a web page, kind of like a marketplace. They just have a list of all of the domains, and you can click them to inquire or whatever. So you can have a common form, and they could click the link, and then yeah, definitely. There's a lot of applicability to doing it that way to make it really easy, even for somebody who's not a strict programmer. All you have to do is just have the core code. And there's some fabulous ways to just get that code is just pretty basic. So it's not like you need much. And once you have it ready, all done for one row, you just copy it. It's pretty simple to do. So let me go back to my my spreadsheet real quick. Oh, how do I do this? Oh, there we go. Where's my spreadsheet? Oh, okay. And share. Okay, is everybody can see?
Yes, we can.
I think your PowerPoint.
Yeah, let me just turn on the from the current slide. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so it basically showed you a couple ways you can use the spreadsheets to quickly compile HTML programming data. And then that's basically what what it's going to look like. The rewrite redirectives that I was showing you, once you put them online, it's just, I can't show you the, can't show you the, oops, daisy, what am I doing here? There we go. Can't show you what the file name is, but it's a .html file. And then here, it's just a long list, and you just simply copy and paste all this and put it right into your HTAccess file. I would do it with one or two, just to make sure that the structure works for your server and your setup, and then you're off to the races to do it that way. And here's the page that has the links, and you would just click each one, and it would open up in a new browser, and test it out to make sure your redirects are exactly what you would like them to be, that they're going where you want them to go. So now I'm going to talk about some. Are there any questions by chance? Or do you want to ask questions at the end, or?
Have you considered starting a web course teaching this stuff?
No, I really enjoy this stuff. I've been happy to help people out. It could be fun.
It would be very handy for many people. You've really systematized it in a way, combining the programmer with the domainer, and there's not much of that around, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Well, you do it in a very approachable way too. Like
exactly.
you're taking a complex subject and you're presenting it in a way that I think will help people wrap their head around, you know, how it's done without that sort of intimidation of, you know, staring at something, because those rules look really complex, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That was exactly my concern. That it would just be boring and not, you know, so that's wonderful to hear that it seems like it's relatable.
Yeah, like I'm brand new to this, but I just see it all shaping together, and I'm just seeing what you could, like, as you talk about what you can do for, like, you know, sort of like little virtual marketplaces and stuff like that. It's like and then it's like what, and it's like just opens my eyes. And then not only that, like I'm pretty proficient in Excel, and I go, oh, you can actually do like conditionals and stuff like that to make it even faster. And wow,
yeah, even code for websites and stuff, and lists and directories. Yeah, really easy without having to have a database, really. And then you can reorder stuff. You can just reorder sections and stuff, and delete sections, hide sections. Yeah.
all right,
So,
I'll mute myself again. Going, it's great.
Yeah, Meredith.
Yeah.
Ezekiel's put a question in the chat that is, I think, is relevant.
Sure.
So, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I can. Let me see if I can't really see the chat. Sure, definitely.
Okay, he says, can HTAccess load data from a different file so you could use just one?
Load data from a different file so you could use just one. A file.
load data.
Yeah, so if you want to, you could, there's a lot of things you can do. You could have it show the time and the date. You could have it load data, like a database kind of a thing, or does he mean like
Ezekiel,
redirect
do you hear her question?
page?
Do you want me, okay, he said, oh, he said yes.
Like a database?
He said, I think that's what you said, and he answered yes. And then he said a list of domains, for example.
I believe so. I've never done that. I'm not sure because the mod rewrite basically rewrites the information that hits the server. So if it's something that's not hitting the server, then yeah, I'd have to look into that to see if that's a possibility. I normally would say you wouldn't want to do that because it might slow down the server, the performance of the server if you're having to do a lot of processing like that, depending on what it is. But the databases are separate, the MySQL databases and using PHP and things like that, PHP MyAdmin and all, that's all very separate. And usually a website, when it's pulling in a database, it's pulling in information from a database. The other thing, there is a website, a platform called Ragic, which I believe is RAGIC.com. It's really cool, and it kind of allows you to create databases and upload them or actually embed them into your website and stuff. So that's kind of for contact management, for orders, for inquiries and things like that. I've looked into that. It's pretty interesting. But as far as actually having it take data and put data on your website, that's not generally what people are using it for. For the most part, people are using it to block access, to create security, to improve search engine optimization. So what old web pages that no longer exist, you can route them to pages that do exist. You can route an entire website to a new website with the slash, just with the slash. And so you can rewrite different URLs. There's a lot that it can do. That's not something that I'm familiar with or that I would do that way, but I can definitely check it out and see. Does anybody else know by chance? Well, let's move on to HTAccess code examples for developers. So basically, I'm going to show you some things that are really cool for people that are a little bit more in the line of creating websites itself and some codes that you might want to have handy. Let's see. So sometimes you want to develop a website in stealth mode, or kind of you want to block all the traffic within a specific directory and a subdirectories. Maybe you just, you're just not ready to be live. You can do that. It's a order, deny, allow, and then deny from all. And that will basically, you just plug in the, if you want to allow, then you deny from all, but allow from some. You could put the IP address, either a partial IP address, which will allow everything with just that partial, or you can put a specific IP address. You could also put allow from a domain name. If you use a domain name, you'd want to put like allow from .domain.com and allow from domain.com with both the plus, with both the dot and without the dot. So both of those are included. So moving here. It's also great for blocking, like I said, which can allow yourself or other team access within a specific directory or its subdirectories, or the entire server, meaning the account that you have the HTAccess file in. So if you have a VPS server with a couple of different accounts, then you would need to do this with each HTAccess file. So there's some advantage to having one hosting account with all the park domains underneath versus having them split up a little bit. It just depends on whether or not you want it to be easier to manage all of the folders for the domains. Now, if you're going to have most of the domains, or a lot of the domains clustered together and routing to specific places, then it would lessen how many files and domains you'd need to have under each section or each account. So that's kind of, this is some code that sets which, let me move this little thing here. For some reason, I got this thing that I can see. The directory index directive basically tells the Apache server what to serve if a directory is requested. And so we tell the server to look first for a .shtml file to display because I'm using lots of SSI code, server-side includes. And so you can see, you can tell it to look for the index.shtml first and then look for this to be the default page and then the index.html. And maybe you'd want to switch those or change those around a little bit actually. But since I only use the SHTML, that's how I have mine set up. So custom error documents are really a nifty thing to do because the ones that are provided by, oops, let me go back. The ones that are provided by your Apache server environment are very basic and not real friendly, not real nice looking. And I've seen some people do some really neat things with their custom error documents, make it funny, make it interesting. You could put links on it. You could put, you know, a contact us link, even a chat button if you wanted to. And so here in the middle section, it tells you what the error documents are for. Bad request, authorization is required. So if you have a password on the page, then you would definitely want to keep an eye on that one. Forbidden, if it's a forbidden page, not found, and so forth. And so down here at the bottom, you can see all you would need to do is have a folder that says web access or whatever you'd like it to be. It could be errors, error pages, or whatever you want to name it. And then you would have to have a file 400.html and just create those files. And I wouldn't do HTML files because it's a pretty simple file, but you could do it either way actually. But I think the HTML is a better, easier way to go. And that way when people go to your site and they land on an error page, it just looks more cohesive with the rest of your site or your marketplace or your landing pages. So that's a kind of a cool thing to do. One other thing you can do is you can whitelist search engines and browsers. You don't necessarily have to do this, but this is a way to be absolutely sure that things that you really do want to have access to your server, your website, do have access to it. And so for me, I use stat counter a lot, so I want to make sure that that's in there. And then basically it's telling it to deny from all, but allow from these good people, these agents. For the get post, that's a particular action there. So that's basically how that works. And in conjunction with this, there is code in which you can allow or block browser agents, refers. So you can say, I don't want anybody from Google to be able to view my site. You can block countries, code spam blocks. You normally wouldn't block an entire country per se, but you could, but you would normally block a big IP block that's known to be bad for spam or hacking and things like that. You can also block specific IP addresses. Oops, here we go. Server health, let's move into that. Okay, so this prevents web browsers and spiders from seeing your HTAccess directive. You don't really want somebody to be able to see this fancy file that you have, right? You put all this time into it. And if they can see it, then they can kind of see everything about what you're doing with your security and your SEO and everything. So you can just use this code at the bottom, deny from all, and nobody can see it. It is a private file, hidden file anyway, but this kind of makes it a little bit more secure. This prevents the visitors from viewing your raw web structure under a folder, so under a directory. So for example, if you have the, going back to the server-side includes, if you have the folder and the include landing pages dash meta folder and you've got 100 files in there, maybe you don't want somebody to be able to just go to the root folder and be able to see a list of all the files in there. So this basically prevents that from happening. The other thing, as I had mentioned before, it's really good to do is just to have a dummy .shtml page with your stats code only in it, and just plop that in those folders where there's no inherent index page, and then you can actually see that somebody was on that directory. And sometimes people do that just to see what else, you know, they'll start with a URL and then just go back and remove a section of the URL to see what else is there if they're looking for something, looking for some content or something. So that's how that works. You can block access to multiple file types. And this is fun, especially if you have special files you don't want people to access, or that, like the INI file, for example, HT password file too, you can deny from all. I forget what that index ignore is. That might be part of something else, actually. You can block an entire IP range. This prevents a particular range of IP addresses from accessing your website. And all of these blocking techniques can be used whether or not you are merely parking your domains and redirecting to external marketplaces and external sites and places, or you have your domain names as developed properties as landing pages or mini pages or full-fledged pages. It works either way, because when somebody types in the domain name, it's going to first go to the server, which is then going to look for information regarding that domain name in the HTAccess file. And then if it finds information in there, then it acts upon it, does the, or operates the rewrite condition or directive, and then stops or goes to the next step if it's not saying to finish. So this is how you can basically, there's a lot of different kinds of way to do it, a lot of different ways to do the code. This is a way to block a specific IP range. You can see a lot of specifics. These are just random numbers I put in. And so it's basically blocking the whole entire IP range of, yeah, basically. And then the F here, this is the flag. It's basically telling it done. It's finished, or forbidden. Yeah, forbidden. So they'll get a forbidden, and they'll either get your forbidden error page or the stock page that your server is providing. This is really fun. There's different ways to do hot linking, to not allow hot linking to images. This is common for, say, if you have an e-commerce website or something, or where you have images that people want to use because they want to use it for high levels of traffic and they don't want it to use their own bandwidth. So they might link to your image instead of saving the image and putting it on their own server. And so what you can do is you can create this code, which would then show the creative stolen.jpg image in its place on their website instead of actually getting the .gif or whatever they're looking for. So if any of these, if this domain name or this IP address tries to basically hot link to images, then they're going to get you on your domain. You have an image called stolen.jpg, and it's going to replace, that's what they're going to get in place of the image that they wanted, essentially. So in the NC, lots of flags, there's lots of different kinds of flags. You'll see R, F, L, NC means no case, which means it's not case specific. So if you're doing HTAccess redirects where you're referencing other people's domain names and stuff, you would probably want to do the NC so that it would capture it, whether or not it's a capital D domain.com or a lowercase d.com. If it's your own website structure and you're rerouting your own domains to your own landing pages, hopefully you have it all as a lowercase, and therefore you can avoid doing that. So on most of the code examples, you won't see the NC just because it's not really necessary for what I'm doing. So anyway, so we can go to the next page. So that's a fun thing to do. And some final thoughts: make small changes, save and test. The slightest misplacement, again, of a slash or a dot can render the HTAccess useless with error message and stuff, but you just remove the part that wasn't working and try it again, essentially. There are lots of resources online with current HTAccess code for blocking user agents, spam bots, etc. I have a lot of code for all of that, but it's a huge amount of code, and I just wasn't sure if I should add all that in here as well. But you can easily block actual IP addresses and stuff. So here's some a few resources I just kind of threw together. There's a lot out there you can use to help you with HTAccess and HTML and SHTML, server-side include pages. Lunapic is something I haven't mentioned. I have no affiliation with the site at all. It's a great site for doing watermarking, making transparent images, which look really nice on websites, and creating images with rounded corners. So it's really kind of, and it does a whole lot of other stuff too. W3 Schools is a great site for learning HTML and testing HTML on the fly. So you start practicing, and then it'll show you what it looks like before you actually put it on a website. And the testing one is one Jonathan had mentioned. I found a couple other ones, but that's something you can use to test your HTAccess, specific segments of your HTAccess file. Ask Apache is one of the many, many guides out there that you can use. I'm not sure that was my favorite one, but it's a decent one. It's really kind of personal to find one that seems to be where you're at and what you think is the most interesting. When I learned all of this, I kind of found a few that I thought were particularly good and then filled it in with more as I went along. And I've been using HTAccess for a long time. So it's kind of fun to be able to share this with people. And Portable App is I don't have any affiliation with them. It's a website that has a lot of portable apps that you can put on a USB drive. So it doesn't take up much space, even Firefox, Thunderbird, all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. The two that I would recommend is a Notepad++ and WinSCP for uploading to a server. And so thank you so much. I have more to share, but I didn't want to go too long. And there's some information that I'm on Skype and Startup Gal. There's my email. LinkedIn and on Twitter, I'm Cyber Meredith right now. I might change it at some point, but that's who I am online. Thank you. Let me unshare. How do I unshare?
Yeah, Meredith, I was like, that's like, I mean, I know nothing of this. It's stuff I know I wanted to know, and it just is kind of, now it's you've got me wanting to dig for more. You know, it's like
Good.
just enough to like get myself going. I'm gonna ask a couple really simpleton questions.
Sure.
The HTAccess file, are they are they case sensitive?
Yes, they are. So most of the yes.
So the programming part, or not programming, but the
yes,
instructional parts. That's
the rewrites. Yes, that's all. It's very case sensitive. Yes, and if you're putting in the information for the actual the redirects and stuff, you can use the brackets, the flag, the NC flag to be sure that you're capturing both of those. Yes, and you can always test your HTAccess file, trying things out with the lowercase and the uppercase to make sure it behaves the same way as intended.
So I'm just trying to take back, because again, it was starting was a little bit, but I'm stepping a step back. So what I could do theoretically is take all my domains, change the IP addresses to where the hosting is, and then have the page, like I have the footer and header would be the same for everything, and then the rest would change it. And wow, it's just like there's so much you could do with that.
Yeah, yeah. Once you've done it, you can do a couple of them. Once you get one or two of the sites done and you see how easy it is, I mean, you can literally have 1,000, 2,000 done in no time. It just becomes just a process that you do. And then you would have a folder set up with like a template, and then you would just have one folder and then one file in each of the two other folders. And so when you buy a new domain name, you simply just copy the folder and edit the file, and copy the folder, rename it, and edit the file. And then you have new files to upload to the server. And then you just need to park the domain name on the server and edit the access code. And if you're just doing a couple domains at a time, it's usually easier to just open up the HTAccess file and just type it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna rewatch this like 5 times.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to help, share, or whatever.
Does anybody else have any questions? So yeah, no, Meredith, really thank you tons for this.
You're welcome.
So definitely
You're
thanks for that.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me to do it. And also, I thank you for this whole presentation with the other people too. I've learned so much and look forward to always being here. So
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you. Other question is,
Absolutely.
like, do you, now that you're here and you pitch this stuff, do you sell your services? Like, do you?
I used to do consulting services, do surveys and programming, things like that, but I would be happy to help if somebody was interested. I certainly can do that. I had worked in that capacity before,
Okay.
but it's not really, I wasn't trying to promote myself.
No,
in that
it's not
part.
that. It's just that I'm probably going to end the video after this
Yeah,
couple of sentences, and I go, if you want to pitch
yeah.
yourself, the people who are interested in that, who want that done, is it something you're available for, or?
Sure, yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to cut.
Thank you so much. Actually, this was amazing.
Yeah. So this is officially the end of the first part.